Hello and welcome to another jungle tutorial, and in this split screen jungle breakdown we're going to be looking at Rengar and Camille. The last few gameplay Mondays have featured games that got a bit messy towards the late game. People didn't really know how to close out, so in this one we will have a more clinical end to the game. However, it does feature a nice back and forth up until the breaking point. That means in this game there's going to be a lot of information about playing from behind, also coming back into the game, how to utilize your pathing and XP advantages accordingly, continue that pressure, and most importantly, your decision making around these situations, because decision making reigns supreme in this game and is sort of the deciding factor in how, from the jungle perspective, the game ends up the way it does. And with no other announcements other than to please like and sub if you do enjoy these types of split screen videos, we're gonna head straight into the gameplay. Now, I want to focus on something very important from the Camille side. Camille starting red and then ganking level 2 has pretty much just become basic strategy. Like Kane, when it was pretty much every game you would see him starting Raptors. And so with that in mind, the Rengar primes his Q on the plant just before the red buff spawns, basic strategy to make sure you get an empowered Q extra in there. And instead of going to the Raptors and taking a few baby ones before moving to the top side of the map like we saw in the last Rengar video, he decides to ward and hop on over to the Crux to smash some rocks before going up into the scuttle. Now the Camille, knowing that her clear is basically just expected at this stage and Rengar is probably going to try and avoid going to the top side because he doesn't want to battle her just yet, she takes her red and immediately heads to a blue. This will give her time, because of her E, because she scales the map better, to take the blue and then take the scuttle, and if Rengar was over there, they could easily fight it out. She also has the Lucian Karma having lane priority and the Vladimir also having lane priority in the mid, so she has all the advantages for her now. And because Rengar took the W second to help him with the Krugs, that means the Scuttle Crab would be very difficult to take anyway, and when he comes to a fight with Camille, he's not really paying attention. I don't think he expected her to be there. Well, there's not much he can do. Karma rotates, Vladimir's rotating, it was just basically GG from the end. No point in flashing, except your fate. A lot of people there would try and flash. Maybe you could have gone to the edge of the pit and flashed out, but Camille has E and she wouldn't need to, and so you'd be dead anyway. So varying up her approach to what's commonly done by Camille's allowed her to get that first blood. Of course, not all Camille's do this strategy, but it is very common. And now because of this, she's able to secure that Scuttle Crab and then gank on the mid lane. Immobile mid laners and top laners are great food for Camille. Loves those ganks early because they're pretty much a guaranteed flash, like Rumble does. But the Vladimir decides he wants to flash and ignite and go all in and crazy. So Camille kind of follows him, because at that stage, if you both commit, there's a high chance you can get the kill. Whereas if one of you commits, those summoner spells simply go to waste. They are able to secure the kill, but the Rumble shield, plus the fact that the tower dive isn't really advised at this stage, means it's a 1-for-1 trade. But nonetheless, a good start for the Camille. And now she can move on up to the top side scuttle. And as you should have noticed, Rengar's trying to take that Scuttle Crab on the top side without his E, and Camille is fortunate enough just to walk up and smite it away. The point here is your decision making. Just smite it. It doesn't matter as long as you get it. You need to get something. You're behind. And because she gets it, she's now level 4 to your level 2. Camille chases him down. He's very disciplined with his flash. He hits a nice blind E, but he's very disciplined with his flash. He wants to save it until the last moment, because if she doesn't pursue him, he can keep that up for the next time she invades. However, she gets very greedy. She uses the E to escape the tower shots, but the Rumble has rotated up and now she's dead. But from the Rengar's perspective, this is a bailout. You did not deserve to get bailed out like this. You were not making the right decisions here. I don't know if we should have gone straight for the Scuttle Crab. I might have just stayed in my jungle, used my smite to secure my buffs and my camps on that side, and given up that crab. I know it's a lot of gold, especially in the high elo, it makes much more of a difference, but the amount of time he wasted trying to take that crab and then not even getting it and losing his flash, all while Camille had already ganked mid, gotten level 4, and secured a huge lead over him, is not really worth it in my mind. But nonetheless, he's behind. He now needs to be safe. Use these few moments where Camille's pressure will not be felt by anyone because she went too aggressive. That gives him a little bit of a window to catch up. And as I've said many times before, if you give double buffs away, if you screw over a lane, you go back and you help them out. And that is what Camille does. She takes her Raptors, ease on over to the Rumble, and the lane is back in Vlad's control. Meanwhile, Rengar has managed to get a full clear down nicely, and now he can go back and grab his Tiamat. It's worth noting that after that gank on the Rumble in the mid lane, Camille clears wards and then heads into the Rengar's blue side jungle. This is very inefficient. She should have known that after she died, he would have done those camps. Takes him 2 minutes 30 to respawn. It has not been 2 minutes 30 since then. There's definitely no way in hell he didn't do those. And so it's not the best use of time. However, the deep ward is a good thing, and she can use that angle then, coupled with Sion's TP, to gank on the Yasuo on the top side. Again, more lane pressure. So her little scuttle tussle in the early game gave the bot lane some advantages with the Karma roam. She ganked mid twice, she ganked top lane, and Rengar's very far behind. But don't worry, he will get his kills in this game. This isn't a stomp. Now, after Rengar has gotten his Tiamat and Camille's done the gank on the top side, Rengar chooses to skip his Krugs and instead try and help out on the 2v2 skirmish his bot lane is currently having. This is of course the right decision, but he gets way too obsessed with getting some ganks off and getting some catch-up XP, because what you want to do is be absorbing any minion XP you can get from dead waves that are dying to the tower. You want to get kills and you want to farm your camps so you can get that rubber banding. Now, his bot lane is able to win the skirmish, which is great. However, at that stage, you should probably help them either push out the wave or fall back to your Krugs. The next mistake he makes here is greed once again. He's trying too hard to come back into the game instead of being a bit more patient about it. So you can see that Camille's back gets stopped by the rumble. However, we're not really too sure what she's looking at. She might have been faking her back or just waiting, because the scuttle is spawning in this area. The Karma isn't exactly low HP. She's fast, she has early game damage, and she can rotate around as well. So can the Vladimir. I don't know why Rengar is in this location, let alone trying to fight the Camille, who does hit a very nice E mid jump on the Rengar and takes him off the map once again. Awful early game. This is not how you want to play it when you're behind, and this is not how you want to make your decisions if your goal is to actually win the game. Oh, what's that? Camille got another gank off from the mid and killed the Rumble again? Ah, I see. So the Camille is dictating the entire game. She has presence everywhere. She is using her ganking power. She is using her 1v1 skirmishing power to really control the tempo. The Rengar is basically screwed at this stage. So how on earth is this guy going to get enough kills and enough experience to try and impact the game? Because all these early game decisions that you make, good and bad, can impact the outcome. Depending on the elo you win, of course, because, you know, comebacks are more prevalent the lower you go as people don't know how to close out. But nonetheless, if you do this more often than not, you're not going to win most of your games. You want to be in the position of the Camille as much as possible. And if you are consistently like the Rengar and you identify with this pain, you need to deeply reconsider your decision making. So the Camille's able to take her bottom side Wolves and Gromp. Rengar takes his red and Krugs, but Rengar still isn't level 6. However, he wants to try and get an impact on the lane because getting a kill is great golden XP for you. It's great for your bot lane who's having a bit of a rough time as well. They're able to pick up that assist, and now this is where greed comes into play on his perspective. Camille's had her greed play. Rengar's basically playing, well, I'm screwed anyway, I might as well take a lot of risks to get the reward, but there's a difference between blind stupidity and measured risk taking. In this case, going back on the Lucian, not so great. Obviously, they didn't expect the Camille to still be around, but you have to think like the enemy jungler as well when you're behind. What would you do if you were in her position? You have all the power to stay out way longer than he can. You have the level 6 advantage, and guess what? You counter ganks, and he dies. They also pick up a kill in the Blitzcrank and his flash. And once you've taken off the Karma, just back off. You got the assist, go back to base. You can go to the top side of the map, get those camps. You reduce the risk of having a Camille counter gank, but you going after the Lucian just to purely try and get an extra kill in a 3v1 where the minion wave isn't even on your side and Camille could be around, that's just bad decision making once again. The plus side is you got your assist, and now you can move on to the top side of the map and look for something on that side. Rengar is able to do a couple camps, try and do a lane gank on the top side, which doesn't really pan out just because of the nature of the lanes. Camille does her red and Raptors, and a deep tower diving skirmish has occurred with the both supports roaming up to the mid lane, and now Rengar's ulted and Camille's rotating because they want to be the first to make that a 3v2. Rengar knows this is way more important for him to try and grab something. Unfortunately, the Rumble's already dead, so they've lost the battle. Rengar is able to snipe a kill of his own. However, the Vladimir and Camille can easily tower dive him with their kits, and Camille ease over the wall very nicely to escape the aggro, while retaining a decent amount of HP. From a personal level, that's good for the Rengar. From a neutral team perspective, it isn't the best outcome. And now Camille can rotate around that red side jungle, see that all the camps are down, and then she's gonna move to the bottom lane. And this is where patience as a jungler pays off. Remember, we've talked about this before. Yes, it's control warded, but she clears it and then waits a little bit. The Lucian has the advantage. He's trying to shove the wave because he wants to go back anyway. His ultimate is up, so Camille just waits a little bit before hitting a beautiful max range E on the Jhin, and well, that's all she wrote. But as I said, you need the team who has the lead to make mistakes. You want to play defensive, you want to ward, you want to force them to become impatient and over-aggressive with their lead, which will then in turn give you counter play. Rengar hasn't really been doing it, but his time will come here because the Camille goes into the mid to try and fight the Rumble, but it seems junglers will never learn that Rumble has nice turning power, DPS with his full charge overheat, and well, she dies, which is great for Rengar's team. That's all he needed. Overconfidence from the Camille. She's not farming very efficiently, if you notice. She has a lot of great map movements, but she's sacrificing a lot of farm for this map presence. And because of Rengar's farm lead and clearing his camps a bit more efficiently, which is kind of weird considering how bad his game has been, he is a level ahead. You cannot ignore camps to that extent, and as I say that, she gets another gank off on the top lane to kill the Yasuo to reach level 8 as well. And the Rumble and the Blitzcrank have had a nice duel in the mid lane, which has forced a low HP Vladimir to retreat back to his base. Rengar activates that ultimate, and he's ready to go. He dives in, he grabs himself a kill, Vladimir ults and ignites, and he just survives. But the problem here is, yes, you got 300 gold from killing the Vladimir, but the Lucian sees you and he's gonna get the 300 gold in return. I'm not a fan of these super dive plays when you're behind like that. What would have been a much better play on his part was, you saw there, all Camille's bottom side camps are up. She isn't farming and clearing them very efficiently. Rengar just cleared his bottom side, all those camps are up. You know Camille's on the top side because she just camped Yasuo, but you know, clear the control ward that you walked over first because they all saw you coming. His vision control is atrocious. So despite the lapses in judgment, the kills he is picking up and the farming lead he has gotten has proven quite useful. But that's mostly because the Camille hasn't really put the boot to the neck, as it were. However, in this macro decision play, Rengar goes top side to try and support his team in taking that outer tower, while Camille rotates bot to help the Vladimir push that one. Tower plating will be falling shortly in the next few minutes, so it's important you ding those platelets down. You want those 160 gold hits, even if it's distributed among your team. There's no point leaving, you know, a couple hundred gold in excess just sitting on the map and disappearing when you could have shoved that instead of, you know, waddling around. And these macro plays are usually what helps your team get back into the game or fall further behind. Now, because they secured the bottom side tower, they do a 4-man dive on the top lane. Camille can secure that mountain dragon very easily. Lucian's pushing the mid lane, hitting all the platelets down before they disappear. And even though Lucian does fall to the Jhin and the Rumble, because the Vladimir and the Camille are on the bottom side, they can then move on to the mid to take out 2 themselves. So overall, definitely a really nice play from their part because they can get that mid tower as well. But again, a little bit of a greed play looking for those raptors. You know, you've got your camps up, you just got a tower, you've got a lot of standing gold, not sure you want to be invading there, and Blitzcrank and Rengar are able to kill her. So she's had an amazing game overall, but a couple of her greed plays have allowed the Rengar time to farm, get a few pick-off kills, and sort of kept him in the game a little bit. So because of the back and forth a bit on kills and towers and Camille's team sort of making a few mistakes, now they have to be a bit more restrained in how they play the game. We're gonna fast forward a few minutes. Everyone's cleared their camps, gotten some scuttles, Yasuo's doing some good work. Camille now moves into the jungle, but her pathing is quite bad. You have to respect the blitz hook, especially over those side lane bushes. Rengar's right there and she's dead again. That's just lazy pathing. You can always go from the safety of your own jungle to investigate those areas before you sort of just cut across the mid lane when they can see you. Don't make it easy for them. Now, because of this play, Rengar can ult and their team can try and push their mid lane tower. He finishes off a kill on the Vladimir before using his W to escape the situation, all while his Yasuo is actually hard pushing the bottom side. So they do have that advantage. Even though they do have to back up because they have the numbers disadvantage, the HP disadvantage, Rengar goes and waits by his raptors after smiting, and you'll notice his HP is regenerating out nicely. A completely underrated aspect of Tiamat and Hydra, passive HP regeneration. Now, as Camille respawns, he has to deal with the Yasuo who's split pushing. He takes a tower, Rengar's just waiting for Yasuo to get into position, and he makes a nice burst jump onto the Lucian, bursts him down as much as he can, and the Yasuo comes from the top side of the lane, helps secure the Lucian, but Sion is so tanky that they have to 3v1 him, and naturally, instead of focusing on the Sion and at least securing that kill so they could shove up the mid together, he 2v1s and dies. Well played by the Camille though. And because of these counter pushes and turns of events, Rengar is able to do what Rengars do, combines with the Jhin to take out the Lucian, and from there they can secure their mid tower. And we're gonna fast forward a few minutes to the decisive moment in the game. Rengar has done what he could to get his own gold, experience, and farm to the point that he is now a level up on the Camille, and the game is about equal. So Rengar goes into his topside jungle, and now he wants to hold that top lane. Now, this isn't exactly a squishy target that you can assassinate, like you did with the Lucian earlier. You're gonna be in a long, drawn-out fight with this Sion, and you have a huge minion wave right there as well. It's better to kind of push it out. So he engages in this long, drawn-out fight, and while he's doing that, Camille and Vlad punish the overpushing Rumble, and because this is such a long, drawn-out fight, it gives her time to rotate to the situation. Even though Rengar ends up killing the Sion, the Camille's able to take him out, and now it's 3v5 on the map, and they can take that Baron. They weren't paying attention to the back timings and respawn timings of their teammates. And the sheer mental power needed to come back in this kind of game now proves too much for these players. They just go for bad picks, 3v1s, they overpush trying to kill a Vladimir for goodness sake, and with the Baron they're able to easily push and win the game. So while Rengar's early game was atrocious, his vision control was atrocious, and Camille's early game and ganking and lane presence was fantastic, her inefficient camp takes coupled with a few over-aggressive moves that took her off the field gave Rengar time to stack and farm his own camps to the point that he ended up with an XP lead. And even though his kills weren't the best trades, 1-for-1s, they put his team overall at a disadvantage, even though they gave him a slight advantage in an individual category. So as a jungler, you don't want to do that. You want to make the more sound decision, you want to ward more safely, and you want to make the plays that get you back in the game that doesn't put your team at a disadvantage. Anyway, I hope you could learn something from the Camille's early game in terms of decision making and presence, and I hope you could learn from the Rengar in terms of playing untilted, trying to be smart about how you want to get back into the game, have a measured idea of the wards, ganks, and camps you can take without dying and feeding the enemy. Remember, when the enemy team does make a mistake though, take that Baron and close out. It's very important. You will win a lot more games when you can grab a Baron, make picks, and push towers and inhibs than if you're waffling around just chasing kills. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and comment if you enjoyed. Let me know if you'd like a low elo or challenger game. We can mix it up as well. Please consider joining to become an official member with access to perks. Subscribe for more League of Legends videos coming soon. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.